that you can indeed, in fact, maybe even you should take risks. You should try the next thing. Are you willing to invest in your own risky venture? Today we're going to give an update on our 10-week-old Bovin Brown chickens, and now they are coming outside on grass a little bit. We're going to talk about that, and we're going to also talk about change. It makes me so happy to see the chickens out here milling around, exploring the yard, but just about a minute ago, they weren't doing any of that. They were huddled in two corners down there by their housing. And I kind of want to talk about that a little bit because I think so many of us do the exact same thing in our lives that these chickens have been doing. Last week, Chris and I came up here to my mom's. We were housing these chickens in my mom's chicken coop that she no longer uses. Our house is just 500 feet that way. That's it, the big red barn. So my mom's allowing us to use her chicken coop because if you remember, I got these 48 new chicks and I had to figure out what to do with them. I got that fence where you're at pretty good. Oh, it opens inward.
It's so good I can't get in.
Ah, there goes. I did not expect that to happen. So we brought them up here where they'd have more space, got them out of the garage, and now they're on grass. We got them all outside. And what did they do immediately? They turned around and hoofed it back inside. And I got to thinking about that. And every day as I come driving over the hill, my mom's taking care of them and I see the door open and I see 2, maybe 3 chickens out in the yard. The rest of them inside in the coop, just kind of hanging out inside there. And I think, you guys, if you just go out in the yard and explore, you'll be so much happier. There's sticks and grass and bugs and rocks and so much fun stuff for young chickens to explore. And the weather and the fresh air. Get out of this smelly chicken coop and get moving. And they just don't want to do it. In fact, you can see that today my mom and I, we actually closed the door right there because we want to kind of force them to get used to being out here foraging. And you know, I can understand that because up until about 10 years ago, maybe 12 years ago, I never took risks. My life was pretty comfortable. I tended to take on new things that were the natural progression from one step to the next. And at the time, I decided that I needed to get in better shape. I wasn't very healthy, and one of my friends said that I should try running. She said there's this program, it's called Couch to 5K. In 3 months, you go from being a non-runner to being able to run a 5K without stopping. It takes 30 minutes 3 times a week. You can do it in your neighborhood. You don't need a gym membership. You don't need any special equipment, but you need a really good pair of running shoes because running shoes will make all the difference on whether you get injured or not. And so taking her advice, I went to a running store and I got fitted for running shoes. And that meant that I had to tell this person who was working there, who had been running all his life, that I was gonna try this running thing and that you know, and I said to him, I said, I always threw up in gym after I ran the mile. He said, this time will be different. There's no gym teacher telling you, hurry up. There's just the only person pushing you is you. And so I spent, you know, $100 and something on this pair of shoes, and I got back in my car and I drove around the corner and I parked my car and I started crying. And I was so overwhelmed. And I texted my brother and I said, I just bought a pair of running shoes, and I think this is something that I could very easily fail at, and people are gonna see me and say, what are you doing? You don't belong, you're not a runner, get off the trail. And my brother texted back and he said, you're overwhelmed because you just invested in your own risky venture and you're not used to taking risks. But don't worry, because the more risks you take, the easier it'll get. And I kind of thought, no, I don't think so. This is not comfortable at all. Getting out here, putting myself out like this hurts. I haven't even taken the first run yet, and it just hurts. And over time, I became a runner, and I ran a 5K and then another. And when I say run, I did old man shuffle run. In fact, let me just show you about how fast I run. I'll go over here and show you. It's really super slow. It looks kind of like this. Like my pace was really slow, like a 14-minute mile running. People walk faster than that. But you know what? I did a 5K and then another, and then I did 10Ks, and then I even completed, I think, 3 or 4 half marathons. And when I think about that, I'm just like, I am blown away by the fact that this body carried me over the finish line of a half marathon, and it was really, really hard. But I did it, and you know what? My brother was right. And something else my brother said to me. So he said, you just invested in your own risky venture, and you believed in yourself enough to spend the money to buy those shoes. And the more you take risks, the easier it will get. And the second thing he said to me was, you need to have a plan, because a plan is what changes a dream into a vision. And that really stuck with me. And I was thinking about, you know, I followed that couch to 5K plan until I became a 5K runner. And so fast forward a few years, and my family takes this road trip in 2012, and we come visit my parents, and we spend time with my dad, who has dementia, and we traveled through, I think, 10 states in 21 days, or maybe 17 states. I should go back and check, but we went through several states and several thousand miles in a 3-week period, and it was a great time. And we dreamed and we brainstormed and we decided, we're leaving the city. We're done. We're gonna move to the farm. We're gonna become farmers. And that was a huge risk. I mean, when you think about the time and the amount of energy and what it cost me emotionally to buy a pair of running shoes, compared to we are packing up and we're selling our house and we're moving to the country, that was a big change. But you know what? It was so worth it. And every day we just work harder to grow and change and become the farmers that we had wanted to be. So you may have noticed another change. You may have noticed that I changed my channel name. For 6 years now, I've been saying, I'm Lorella, not a farm girl, because I never was. I grew up in the city and I didn't know the first thing about farming. And so people have been asking me for a while, like, when you gonna be a farm girl? Are you a farm girl now? Hey Lorella, how long can you be not a farm girl? Looks like you're farming to me. And I just love our farm name. It took us weeks to come up with one that we both just settled on. And when Chris said it, I was like, yes, because this is our plan B. This is our great do-over. We were in our 40s, and we both had these blossoming careers. We were doing really well in our industries. We were in Los Angeles and sunny SoCal, and we just like, okay, we need a plan B. Life is changing. We're going a different direction. And we spelled it B-E-E because of the bees that we wanted to have, that we hoped to have, that we do now have, and orchard and farm, which is what we have. We have a small growing orchard and a farm where we garden and have animals. So it's been really exciting. But I look back and I think, much like these chickens that would rather hang out inside the comfort, the known, the security of the chicken coop, if we hadn't ever taken that first step, if we hadn't come up with a plan, if we didn't have this vision of becoming farmers, I would not be here today, where I could tell you that you can indeed, in fact, maybe even you should take risks. You should try the next thing. Are you willing to invest in your own risky venture? And you know what? When it comes down to it, what if it doesn't work out? Then you do something next. You do the next right thing. I just want to encourage you that one thing that I'm passionate about is that from birth, from the cradle to the grave, life is about growth. And there's never a time in your life when you should just sit down and say, that's it, I'm done. Nothing more to learn. No growth happening here. because to me that's what death is. When something stops growing, it starts dying. And I am passionate about lifelong learning. I've learned so much in the 6 years since we moved here to the farm, but I know I have so much more to learn. And I'm really excited about this journey. I'm really excited about everything we have going on here at Plan B Orchard and Farm. And I'm so thankful that you have joined us today. And I would just ask you to hit that subscribe button and the notification bell and come back and just see where this journey takes us. And please, in the comments, tell me, what's your next step? What's your next right thing? What risky venture are you wanting to do? What dream do you have that you want to turn into a vision? And is there any way that I can help you, maybe with vision planning? Or I have some administrative gifting, so if you don't know what your next right step is, or you kind of have this vague idea of what you want to do, let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. So thank you so much for hanging out with me today, and I'm hoping that these chickens are going to get used to staying outside, because really this is such a better world for them. Being out here in the yard is such a better world for them. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Lorella from Plan B Orchard and Farm.